This is a story about active eugenics. These are two stories about active eugenics. Even though in theory it is illegal to tamper with someone's person, it is disturbingly easy to hear disabled people tell you stories about how active eugenics play out in their life. So Cheryl is a 23-year-old woman who lives in the community with her fiance. She has a job. It's a supported job, but she has a job. She has an income. She has AISH. She lives with this guy. She has intellectual disability, but she's currently living under guardianship orders. A foster parent, so she was raised in the foster system. These guardianship orders are scheduled to expire when she turns 26. Very often guardianship ends at a certain time, and 25 is her best before date. So when she was which is really something we could think about a lot, but we won't. We'll assume that this is a perfectly reasonable set of arrangements. When she was 14 years old, she was placed on birth control by her foster mother, who is the same guardian today. And she says, "When I was 14, I went on birth control since I had my period started and I had to be put on it. They just wanted me to make sure that I was safe. And yeah, I guess just being safe rather than being sorry and getting pregnant." So the notion of safety, I think I really want to problematize here. So she's put on birth control when she's 14, but the birth control that she's put on because there's an assumption of incompetence or maybe resistance on her part is depot. So she has not yet at that point become sexually active. At 22 years of age, so 8 years of depot later, she unilaterally decides that she's going to go off it because she's gained a lot of weight and she's experiencing headaches and things like that, and she hasn't had a period for over 3 years. So at the time of our interview, she'd been off for a year and she'd had one period, but she was worried that she might not be able to have children because of her long-term use of depot, which is a perfectly reasonable worry. So even though she's not menstruating, and despite the high probability that she may be infertile anyways, her guardian insists that if she's going to go off depot, she has to go onto the pill, which she does because she wants to be compliant and she wants to get out of her guardianship orders when she's 25. So she wants to look like she's being good. And again, she says her guardian insists that she go on to oral contraception just to be on the safe side. So the oral contraception that Cheryl's using at the time of our interview was Yasmin, which is a drug that's been the subject of several lawsuits for pulmonary side effects that have caused deaths in Canada and the US. But Cheryl is afraid to go off of those pills because of her guardian's wishes and her desire to look as though she's being compliant. So the notion of safety, I think, is something that we need to problematize here, because it's like, who's safe here? You know, her health has been put at tremendous risk, and the safety, I think, that we're talking about is the guardians, you know. Similarly, safety plays an interesting role in Debbie's story. So Debbie is 22 years old. She's got Down syndrome. She is her own guardian, but she lives at home. She was a very sweet woman. In her interview, she spoke with great warmth and charm about her engagement to a young man named Mark, who also has Down syndrome. And Down syndrome men are generally not able to have children, so just bookmark that idea for a minute. So she meets him through a drama group. They have very limited opportunities to actually see each other because, of course, neither of them drives and they don't have handy bus arrangements and all that. But they love each other, and they've been together in these sort of meetings through public places for a couple of years, and they're engaged, and and her parents are in support of the engagement, and they're actually planning a wedding. So I asked Debbie if she's ever actually had sex with Mark, and she says no, because she's not ready. So this "I'm not ready" came up again and again, and it didn't actually raise any curiosity for me at that point in the interview. But when we talked later about what her expectations were going to be about sex, because it was clear to me she didn't know what it was as we were talking, you know, once they got married, she continued to say that she wouldn't be having sex. She hasn't told Mark yet. I think you might be disappointed, because she still wouldn't be ready, you know. So I kind of explore that with her a little bit, like, what do you mean by being ready? And she says, well, my mom told me about sex, and so I know that if I have sex, I'll get pregnant and our baby will have Down syndrome. I'm not ready to take care of a Down syndrome baby. This is just not good information that this girl has been given in any way, shape, or form. So she's had the fear of the Lord put into her about, you know, exploring her sexuality and the dire consequences that can go on. It hasn't given her the tool to make meaningful choices. It's instilled fear in her and kept her from developing really an adult relationship with somebody that everybody approves of in every other way, you know, and there's sort of some infantilization that I think is embedded in that discourse.